19 out of their last 20, including 7 straight. They have the best record in basketball over the last 6 weeks. But the Kings scored his 50,000th point the last time they stepped on the court. More notable than that, he's having as good a season this year as he had in his last MVP campaign. No more brilliant mind than the man standing to my left. If you care about sports and the sport of basketball, turn up your volume, dial into this conversation. Rick, not only do you know a lot about basketball, but you know a lot about the history of the game. So let's talk about the most important and transcendent basketball conversation that there is, the GOAT conversation.
Yep.
How much is LeBron James helping his GOAT case with his performances this season?
He's not. He's not. If
I did all of that. All that setup.
Yeah.
50,000 points, 17 and 20, best record the last 6, MVP campaign, and you gonna sit here and tell me he's not?
He's not. And LeBron would actually agree with me that he's not, based on what he has already said. Because if it was a matter of longevity and cumulative stats, then he would have been chasing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar all this time, and he would still be trying to catch him in terms of all of the accomplishments that Kareem had. Yes, he's taken the scoring title. There's a couple other things that Kareem did that LeBron hasn't. 6 titles, for example. So, and league MVPs. Michael Jordan climbed to the top of the mountain because his best was better than anything that we had seen. And that started with league MVP and defensive player of the year in the same season. We had never, ever seen that before. And then 6 titles, 6 finals MVPs in the midst of 10 scoring titles.
Here is why I hate what you're saying.
Why?
Because based upon what you're saying, LeBron can never be the GOAT. Because LeBron James can't be a better Michael Jordan than Michael Jordan. So if Michael Jordan is the GOAT because he went to 6 for 6 and never lost, then we're excluding the fact that LeBron James went to more championships. We're excluding the fact that LeBron James has more points. We're excluding the fact that LeBron James has more assists, that he has more rebounds, that he has quite literally more of every aggregate statistic than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan does have more championship wins, not championship appearances. So we're excluding everything that LeBron James continues to do because he'll never be a better Jordan than Jordan. But nobody will.
Well, no. Not a better Jordan. A better basketball player.
But he's proven to be a better basketball player.
No,
statistically.
He has not. No, he's...
You got more boards, you got more rebounds, you got more assists.
And more turnovers. By far. We seem to eliminate those. My point is, Michael Jordan, at his best, was the best that we've ever seen. Winning championships. That 9-10 year period where he won 10 consecutive titles, won 6 championships, was the finals MVP in all 6 of them, and was NBA first team. Like, you just can't beat that.
But here's my question, Slit.
Yeah.
What about all the other years? Michael Jordan played for more than just from 1990 to 1999.
Sure.
Like, he did play 85, 86, 87, 88. He did lose to the Pistons, Slick.
Sure.
I'm not making this up.
No, you're not.
So how come we exclude the beginning years, we exclude the Wizards years,
we don't.
and we only talk about them 10?
We don't. Because that's when he hit a zenith that no one has ever reached before. It's as simple as that. In that period was when he established that he was the greatest thing we'd ever seen. And so we're not discounting the other years, but we're also not giving credit for, look, LeBron hasn't been great every single year, right? He's had his down years, he's had his down periods. He's just been around longer. And I'll go back to this. Look, when we talk about the greatest point guards of all time, John Stockton, far and away the most assists. He's generally not in the conversation. Like,
would you suggest this?
It's Magic Johnson, and Magic Johnson is like 7th on the list.
We could suggest this, that LeBron James's floor is higher than Michael Jordan's floor, but Michael Jordan's ceiling is higher than LeBron James' ceiling. Because Michael Jordan at 39, 40, we saw them Wizards years. Shout out to a 55-point game here and there, but he wasn't doing 26, 8, and 8. So we have to also acknowledge the fact that LeBron James is still doing it at a significantly higher clip.
Well, this is the problem that I have when we go to statistics, is because over the decades, over the eras, the way the game is played has changed. And so the meaning and the significance
That is fair.
of the statistics
That is fair. That's
changed.
brilliant.
LeBron James, it is a discredit to what he has been and what he was at his best to suggest that this LeBron James, because statistically it looks the same, that he's the same player. He's so smart. He's done so much work to maintain his ability that it is impressive as hell that he's still doing what he's doing.
But let me push back.
Let
me push back on this.
Bring it. Bring it.
I would suggest that the game from top to bottom is significantly more competitive today than it was then. Here's why I would suggest that. Because scouting is better. Because resources are better. Because development, it might not necessarily be better based upon the AAU circuit, but what I would suggest is a player like Giannis Antetokounmpo, he wouldn't have been in the NBA back in 1990. He wouldn't have been in the NBA because we wouldn't have found him. A player like Luka Doncic, he wouldn't have been in the NBA back in 1990 because we wouldn't have found him. A player like Nikola Jokic, he wouldn't have been in the NBA back in 1990 because we wouldn't have found him. So what I'm suggesting is 3 of maybe the best 6 to 7 players in the NBA today wouldn't have been in the NBA back in 1990 because we wouldn't have found him. Again, I'm a dual passport holder, so I'm very fascinated both with the game locally and the game globally. So what I'm simply suggesting is, though you are incredibly accurate and correct that statistically the numbers are more grotesque today because the game of basketball defensively is played differently, Michael Jordan didn't have to deal with Nikola Jokic. They were still somewhere in Serbia. He didn't have to deal with Luka Doncic's. They were somewhere in Slovenia. He didn't have to deal with Giannis's. They were somewhere in Nigeria.
Can I push back now?
Push back, big dog, push back.
Because it balances out. Who are the American players today who are at the top of the food chain? Who are the MVP candidates?
The Jason Tatums, the Ja Morants, the Anthony Edwardses.
It's kind of, right? That's what swung, is the development of American players is not what it once was. And so, yes, we've got foreign players coming in. We've got globally, we are capturing all the talent in the world, but it balances out that the American talent is not at the same level.
Let's head to the desk real quick. Slick, let's head to the desk. That was a great warm-up. Y'all are coming into a locomotive that is moving.
We can't beat
full
that.
speed. Like this train is moving fast right
I'm about
now.
to walk up there because I want to get in this conversation. So before you start, Acho, I just got a question. Who's your GOAT?
It's Michael Jordan.
And you know, but Slick, you know what though? The
After
whole
all
time
that
up
on your
there,
knees?
I'm like,
It's
this
so
man's
good.
GOAT. I know it's so good.
You know, the number of hernias around the country right now by people that are trying to lift LeBron into that spot.
You sat down for LeBron James.
It's Michael Jordan.
So good.
But here, what I refuse to do, it's Michael Jordan for different reasons.
Yeah.
What I hate is this, and I've said this before. I read this in a book called But What If We're Wrong? And they simply said, and I'll put it in my own words, the reason that Michael Jordan is better than LeBron James is not because Jordan is better than LeBron James, but because we use Michael Jordan as the barometer for greatness. And we measure everybody up to Michael Jordan, and there will never be a better Michael Jordan than Michael Jordan. What I'm simply saying is this. We have arbitrarily decided that 6 for 6, no game 7s, that is the mark of greatness. So unless you go to 6 for 6, no game 7s, you can't beat him. We excluded the fact that Jordan didn't make the playoffs as many times as LeBron James. He didn't make the NBA Finals as many times as LeBron James. I believe he had more first-round exits than LeBron James. But because we have arbitrarily decided that 6 for 6, no game 7s is the mark of greatness, nobody will beat that. What I believe that we should do, and then I'm done with it, because James, Chase, please get in here, and Rick, digest what I'm about to say, even you at home. We should have blindly said, hey, what does it take to be the greatest basketball player of all time? Decided that blindly. We should measure championships. We should measure MVPs. We should measure points. We should measure rebounds. We should measure assists. We should measure defensive player of the years. Decide that blindly. And then see who measures up to that. That's the best way to decide the GOAT. Instead, we've taken the GOAT and said, who's measured up to him? We should have just decided the characteristics that make somebody the GOAT and then said, okay, is it Kareem? Is it Kobe? Is it Shaq? Is it Tim Duncan? Is it LeBron? Is it Jordan? Is it Bill Russell? But instead, we've painted a GOAT and made everybody chase that. That's why I hate most people's ideology behind the conversation.